party, Africa was deep with the Crips. And allegedly the opposition arrives. Allegedly the opposition didn't want any issues initially. But Africa went into full press mode, sparking off a physical altercation that would spill off into the streets. The enemies would flee, but returned shortly after and began shooting at Africa.
I bet they see.
Africa was hit in the chest and he dropped on the concrete. His homie was also shot and he collapsed on the street. Africa was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead at 1:30 a.m.
Goofy, if you start fighting somebody, you don't think they gonna defend themselves with a pipe? Come on now, gang, you wildin'. What you thought was gonna happen? This ain't WWE. This ain't UFC boxing. Come on, man. This the streets, gang. Y'all be straight from the village with it. Straight from the village with it.
Africa. Ezekiel E. Christopher Awumili was born on October 6,
His name is what? What the fuck?
That's on Life by Africa. Ezekiel E. Christopher Awumili was born
Ezekiel E. Christopher E. Millie, what the fuck?
On October 6, 1997. He got the nickname Africa because he was full-blooded Nigerian. He also went by Tiny J Stone. He grew up in a well-to-do family. His father was a businessman and his mother worked as a registered nurse. Although his roots was from Africa, his assimilation into Black American society was seamless, and he was fully embraced by the culture. Despite being raised in a strong two-parent household, Africa became more influenced by his environment when he was outside of the home, emulating the Black American kids he went to school with. Instead of the straight and narrow path pushed by his parents, Africa chose the street life instead. He would get put on and join the 89 East Coast Crips.
How the hell?
An active,
he don't even speak English and he joined the Crips. What?
Reputable East Coast set located in the Florence Firestone District. Up until the mid-2000s, they would be seen deep out of Washington Park. And after the 6-pack and 11-8 East Coast Crips, they're arguably one of the most combative East Coast sets.
What the hell?
Unlike the 5-9s and 7-6s, the 8-9s lost zero turf during their historic war with Florencia 13, and actually killed off Florencia's Easy Boys clique. Although Africa was technically from 8-9, he was often mistaken as a member of the 190 East Coast Crips, considering he stayed and went to school in the Delamo area. It could be argued he'd hang out and function with the 190s more than is put on set. The 190's turf is a sharp contrast from the 8-9's hood in the Florence Firestone District, located in the middle-class section of Carson. The 190's hood consists of large 2-story homes.
That's middle class? That's considered middle class. That's considered, buddy, that looks like the suburbs to me. I'm gonna keep it 100. It looks pretty nice over there. You feel me? I don't know, I might be mistaken, but it looks pretty nice over there. Them some big ass houses. Them not the trenches. What the hell?
Manicured
lawns. Am I tripping right now, y'all?
Lawns, backyard swimming pools, and expensive cars in the
driveway. That's not middle class. That's higher class, in my opinion. Damn, I'm in the lowest of the low.
I think that this is a gang-infested neighborhood. As a member, Africa was fully activated. He went out and gangbanged like he had something to prove, and constantly running phase at school.
What, with the teacher?
Africa was known for having hands. He upped his skills by training at a boxing gym in Lakewood.
Oh, shit.
Africa was known for going around and taking flight on people, terrorizing anything in his way. The fighting involved the shooting. He'd make visits to the gun.
What did that say?
Terrorizing anything in his way.
Ain't nothing wrong with busting as long as the right people getting wild. Okay, Africa.
He'd make visits to the gun range to perfect his aim.
Oh my God.
After a couple test run missions, Africa began to up his rank. By 2016, his name rang bells, and he stayed in the field with the gun.
Wow.
He had a particular disdain for Florencia 13 and Grape Street. He was mobile and tight with the 5-5 neighborhood Crips. It's alleged he got into a shootout with the 5 Deuce Hoovers while he was hanging out on the west side. After this incident, he would take to social media to diss them every chance he got. Throughout this period, Africa would constantly bump heads with his father, who didn't approve of his lifestyle.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Damn, he just looked at it and walked away. He disappointed.
Outside
he can't even speak to him. He didn't even want to look him in his face, dude. Ooh, that hit different. Pop's mad at you in the street slinging iron and he knows. Ooh.
Africa was gifted athletically and shown his abilities on the football field.
Hey, bastard.
Africa should have been in sports. Instead of the streets, he was in the wrong sport.
Unfortunately, he would let his gang life take over, so his football potential would never be reached. In the gang world, his name spread throughout the city, and other top ranks took notice. One being Infant Nightmare from BPS.
Oh, I know
one
Nightmare.
of the top young gunners from that era.
Yeah.
Even though East Coast and BPS are on opposite ends of the spectrum, they do not get along in the least bit, and there's a few murders between the two of them. So when Nightmare saw his opportunity to kill Africa, he took it.
Oh!
One night, Africa was hanging out in the rolling 40s. When Nightmare
So Nightmare slid on, okay, if y'all remember the last video, this is probably like a month ago. Nightmare was sliding on Opps. He was moving tactical. He was going through the bushes, crouching. He was diving over them like John Wick. Nah, I ain't even gonna lie, gang. Nightmare was really sliding. So Nightmare unalive Africa. That was one of his ops. That's wild. I ain't gonna lie.
Blackstone members crept up, guns blazing. Africa was supposed to die that night, but another Crip wound up being shot in the face.
Damn.
Africa was able to evade the ambush. East Coast held Africa in high regard because he was always down to put in work. In 2016, this was at the back end of the East Coast Florencia War, and there were still bodies being dropped. One night, Africa was on a solo mission driving around Florence, looking for an F-13 to knock down.
Goofy.
He drove past Holmes Avenue and parked up on B Street. Africa allegedly got out, spotted his target, and opened fire from about 20 yards away. The Florencia members immediately started shooting back, nearly killing Africa in their turf, causing him to retreat. Africa returned back to his set and reported back on his failed mission. He allegedly would end up dropping the F-13 member on a later date.
Oh, wow.
Grape Street was next up on the shit list. The Grape Street Crips are a notorious black gang concentrated in the Jordan Down projects. No other gang has done the damage that East Coast did to Grape Street when their war popped off.
Wow.
East Coast went on full blitz mode.
But look how many ops they got.
In 2017, the height of the war was over, but ill feelings were still there. Africa was a full enforcer on the Grape Hate train, packing out members. Affiliates were getting the smoke too. One time, Africa threw a female out of his car and took her phone for playing 03 Greedo.
What the fuck?
Africa was getting active and banging on anything that wasn't in line with the coast. He allegedly ran up on Frosty the Snowman, and the issue was pressed.
The Snowman. East Coast just ran into the Frosty. His name was Frosty the Snow. His name is really Frosty the Snowman. Wow. That's interesting, bro. Frosty not even from nowhere. Dang, this stuff on Twitter.
All of that pressure Africa was applying would ultimately
Where's
lead
the
to
IG? Old IG. I don't remember.
demise.
Bro.
On the night of May 20th, 2017, Africa was contemplating on going out to a Jersey party that was being held in Carson. After being on the fence about it, he decided
I'd
to
rather
go.
be laid up.
At the party, Africa was deep with the Crips, and allegedly the opposition arrives. Allegedly the opposition didn't want any issues initially, but Africa went into full press mode, sparking off a physical altercation that would spill off into the streets.
Someone up the pipe.
The enemies would flee, but returned shortly after and began shooting at Africa.
I bet they
Crips. Africa was hit in the chest, and he dropped on the concrete.
What?
His homie was also shot, and he collapsed on the street. Africa was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead at 1:30 a.m.
Goofy.
Initially-
If you start fighting somebody, you don't think they gonna defend themselves with a pipe? Come on now, gang, you wildin'. What you thought was gonna happen? This ain't WWE. This ain't UFC boxing. Come on, man. This the streets, gang. Y'all be tweaking.
In the report, the gunman
Y'all
was
be
described as a black
tweaking.
male in his early 20s. Rumors spread that either
Nightmare.
Nightmare or another member from BPS killed Africa, but it was confirmed that Nightmare wasn't even there that night. He tried to kill Africa on a different occasion. Sources close to Africa have said that it was allegedly Florencia 13 behind the murder. If you check Africa's Twitter X account, you can see his tweets describing the altercation at the party, sent out just moments before his death.
Yo, bro, ain't alive. He was wow.
Tweeting to a friend that he smacked the opposition so hard he fell in the hood of a car, rolled
Damn.
off, and began running down the block.
Yo.
He then confirmed that they were Florencia 13 members.
Wow. See, that's what happened. They seen all this. They seen all this. You did it, and they got their get back fast like that.
Africa's family was very distraught over his murder, and apparently his mother would not allow any of his homies at the funeral.
I bet.
His body would end up being sent to Africa to be buried. Africa was well known in the city for his charisma and personality. He was described as very comedic and a ladies' man, and East Coast is still honoring his memory.
Yeah, baby, I got that fresh hair.
He said, yeah, baby. I'm dead.
Neighborhood to the.
I'd like to thank you guys for watching.
Hey,
Please
that's
like,
crazy. I ain't
comment.
gonna lie, Africa, you tweaking, gang. I don't know what you was thinking. Like, you was out here dropping them. You was out here slanging. See, that lifestyle don't get you nowhere but the sale or 6 feet below. I ain't want to say body bag because that's kind of deep. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't want to do nobody dirty, disrespect anybody. But that's what that lead to, gang. And then you was good at sports, so you could have pursued sports, but you pursued slinging iron. Slinging that iron. And then you put off for your gang that probably wasn't doing nothing for you. I don't know, man. Let me know what y'all feel about this video, man. Is y'all in the streets? If y'all in the streets like Africa, get up out of there. Go get some money on. Go handle your business. Take care of your family. Get your family out of poverty. You feel what I'm saying? You tweaked out. On God, bro. If anybody that thinks you cool, this cool, you're fried. You wasting your potential. On God. Like, what?